Okay, so in the last class we had we were discussing about the VHDL description of entities, right? So we described a half adder and which has got some inputs and outputs, and we had shown that we can write that in VHDL as entity, some name of the entity is, and then describe it with some ports, right. So that is complete description of the entity as the black box at the topmost level. So again we reconstructed, if we had suppressed this and we purely from this, if you had reconstructed the schemata of the entity, that would be the same as it was being shown here. Now also we described that we include actually in VHDL some libraries like the IEEE library and the standard logic library. Okay. Now, as you can see here, the port description can be formally stated as, say, a port, any entity in order to interact with the external world will require the ports, and the port will have three parts. One is the name of the port that we have to give, name of the port, any identifier, which can be any identifier but not a reserved word. All right. The other thing could be the mode, will have to be the mode, that is whether it is an input or output. It can be typically, it can be input, or actually we write it as in, out, it can be in out, which is bidirectional, or it can be a buffer also, that it will store something for a while. And the third component is the data type. The type of data, any declared, which can be any declared or predefined type. Okay. So here, if we just take back this, we can see that we have got the declaration port, and so I can declare an entity as again a different entity, like entity, say test, some entity test is, this is the name, with the ports. Now port can be whatever port you give, say name, then colon, the mode, in or out, and then the type, that means the data type. Okay. Semicolon, and here should be end of the declaration, end test. All right. So this is a complete, here also I should have given, I should have written end half adder. Okay. So that is how we declare the ports. Fine. The next component that we need is need to know is some constant. We can use the reserved word constant and we can give some constant name. Say for example, rise time of a signal, right. You must be knowing that whenever a signal is set to 1, it takes some time to become 1, and 67 approximately 67% of the value, the time it takes to come up to this level is known as the rise time. This is the rise time or TR. Okay. So, say constant rise time, and then I put a colon and the type is time. So, it is the type. So, here and then I can, this is optional, I can initialize it to say 2 millisecond. Now, this is optional, this part is optional, all right. Similarly, I can declare a data bus. Okay. So, how do I do that? I can write constant, I define a data bus, Now, this data bus is of type integer and I can initialize it to 16, say. Again, this is optional. What does it mean? That means whenever I write the data bus, that means I am mentioning a 16-bit data bus, all right. So, the width of the data bus is mentioned as 16. So, this is 16, all right. So, in general, a constant will have the reserved word constant, then the constant name, whatever name you want to put over there, colon, the type, that is the data type, or and then this part is optional, that you can initialize it, just like the C language, you can optionally initialize it. So, that is a generic declaration of a constant. Okay. Similarly, we can, is all right. So, similarly, we can do the same thing with variables. So, if I want to use some variables in my VHDL, I can declare variable, then some variable name, say I give opcode is a variable name and its type is, now here you see I say bit vector. This is a type that is predefined in VHDL. Okay. Bit vector. Now, here it is a vector, therefore, I write 3 then down to 0. Down to 0. I can initialize it again optionally with say 0 0 0 0 if I want to, all right. So, what is there in this? So, here is a variable name and here is the variable type. Since it is a vector, I have to give the dimension of that vector, and if I want, I can like to initialize it also. Similarly, let us define another one, say this is a simpler variable, frequency. So, I give the name FREQ to frequency and it is of type integer, and I decide that I will not initialize it. This is also perfectly okay. All right. So, essentially again a variable declaration is of the form this keyword variable followed by variable name colon type, and then if I want I can optionally initialize it to some value semicolon. Now, for type you need that if it is a bit vector I have to give the width of the vector. Similar to variable, also we have got another interesting thing in VHDL, that is known as signal. For that the keyword is signal, and say I say I have got a signal bus ready, BRDY is a bus ready signal, and that is a bit. All right. I give another example. Signal output is an integer which can be initialized to 2. So, again just like this there is a signal, signal name, type and some optional initialization. Now, this signal and variable they look very much the same, but what is the essential difference between signal and variable? A variable, just as in a programming language, refers to a memory location or a register that where it is stored. So, a variable is stored, whereas a signal is actually representing a piece of ware. Say a ware is carrying a signal, say this is the bus ready BRDY signal. So, this signal will come here, will be sensed, and when it goes, when it comes to this low, it is no longer available on this wire. On the other hand, if I had on this signal, suppose some programming was done and there was some variable like frequency, say this is the frequency which was set to some value 10, then that remains even after I complete loading of this variable, just as it remains in this. Now, whenever we are describing some hardware, we will need not only the variables, but also will need some wares which will carry information, and those can be very well represented using signals. We will see some applications of these later. Now, given this, there are lot more to come, lot more may come in VHDL description, but even before that, let us start developing one simple system. Since we have done FPGAs, let us take a simple system which we want to develop and through FPGAs, and we also want to describe it using VHDL. Okay. So, here you can see the system that I want to implement conceptually is this, a system which will blink an LED, okay, and the input of this system is a 50 megahertz clock, and I want that this LED blinks on for 1 second, and then goes off for 1 second. Remember, the clock is 50 megahertz. So, in 1 second it is 5 million times it is coming, right. I have to glow this LED once every second and then off for another second, all right. That is my objective, and I want to develop this simple system. Now, how do I describe this simple system? This is the overall entity, right. So, I start with describing it as entity blink LED. I have put this underscore, so that the variable name is proper, and it has got ports. What are the ports? Clock CLK is the clock which is of type int, right, and standard logic clock. Now, you recall that when I talked about VHDL, then we had mentioned that we are including libraries, IEEE library and the standard logic. Therefore, we can say, and we declared any port, we had the mode as well as the data type, right. So, here I have said that in is the mode and standard logic is the data type. Similarly, LED is out, this point is my LED point, is out, and the type is standard logic. So, again with this description of the entity, end blink LED. So, my entity declaration, entity description is complete. Okay. Now, that just tells me this outer shape, that it will have one input port, another output port, nothing beyond. Now, what I need to do is I have to describe the behavior of this, what I was telling you in words, that it will take this clock and for every 1 second it will glow on and then it will glow off, and that thing I have to describe now. For describing the behavior, VHDL allows us to describe the behavior in this form. Now, what are we specifying? We are specifying the architecture of the device. Architecture behavioral of, this is just a name, of blink LED is begin, end behavior. So, within begin and end behavioral. So, within this part I am describing the behavior. Now, in order to describe its behavior, that for every 5 million clocks it will glow once and then it will be off, I need a counter. Therefore, I describe a counter. And what is a counter? You can say a counter can be implemented by hardware, a counter can be implemented by software, but whatever it is, a counter essentially implements a process. So, a counter is a process. Now, this is again another key word of VHDL, and every process has got a sensitivity list. This is sensitivity list. So, here in this list there is only one element, that this process gets sensitive, is sensitized by this signal clock. Okay. When the clock comes, then this process will act on the clock. Clock is the event to which this process is sensitive. Then I have this begin and end. Now, what do I want to have? I want to have something like this. The clock is coming like this, and as the clock goes up, I want to do something, and then the clock goes down, and again the clock goes up, and the clock goes down, right. I want that the counter works at this rising edge of the clock. Therefore, within this process, you see, I am now, here was the entity, here was the entire behavioral description, all right. Within that, I am describing the process. Okay. Now, this process is within this begin and end, and it is sensitized with respect to clock. In what way is it sensitized? Let us write that down. If I write it down, if clock, we write it in this way, on clock event and CLK is 1, then something. End if. This is the part. If the clock event occurs and the clock is 1, that means this will remain true. Clock event has occurred and the clock is 1. Up to this part, it will remain. At this point, what is happening? It is again a clock event, but the clock is 0 immediately. Therefore, whatever I write here, then whatever I write here will be executed only up to this. Event has occurred at the rising edge, and this condition is true. Event is occurring also here, clock edge event. This means a clock edge event. So, the clock edge event is occurring here as well as here, but this we will see later that this is a guard condition. This is a condition that clock is 1 is no longer holding here. So, what is happening here is clock event here, clock event and clock is 0. That is the else part, if at all.
So, this statement will execute only when at the rising edge, not on the level, not on high level.
No, but it will start, it will get into this at this, because it is instantaneous. So, I have got this part will execute this true up to this part. This condition is true, but it will get into this immediately at this point. At this point, this part will be entered. Okay. We will build on this. So, there is only one part of the event, right. Okay. Yes. This part. No, it is not a loop. We are not looping here. We are just getting in here and executing it. Clock is 1. Process is, say, this process. A process will have different parts of the body. Okay. Now, I am now right now describing the process. The process can do this thing or that thing. Now, this part will be executed on the rising, it will be initiated on the rising edge of the clock and will be working as long as this is 1. So, it is initiated at this point, as you can see, and will, as soon as this comes out, then my else part will be triggered. We will write this again. Okay. So, this is how we gradually I am trying to build up the VHDL description. Now, forget about whatever is written here, I will just compare with whatever I had written in the earlier slide here, okay, and we will continue from there. So, what we had written was this black part, architecture behavioral of blink LED is, then begin, end behavioral. Then begin, end behavioral, this whole part was there. All those things were not there, this I will introduce gradually. Then this was there, the description of a counter process, and in begin what we did is on clock event and clock I will be doing something. What I will do I did not say. Now, you can imagine and say that when, what am I going to do in a counter? Whenever it happens 1, then I will count, increment the count, right, and I will not increment the count on this event. I will again increment the count on this event. So, every time this condition is satisfied, I will up count, right. So, if count is, as I am counting up, okay, here I have the counter, I have taken a variable count, and this is not a variable by the way, it could be a variable, but here we have done it as a signal which has got an integer range up to this. Okay. Now, this count is being initialized to 0. As it is counting up, if the count is above this 50,000, then the count will be made 0 and I will be sending a pulse. Therefore, I will right now what is happening is I have declared pulse to be a signal, because I have to send that signal to the output of the LED output. So, but the LED output is not known to me as yet, right. So, I declare a signal pulse which is standard logic and initialized to 0. So, right now the pulse is 0. Now, count is 0, as count is this condition is initially not satisfied. So, I am not generating the pulse, I am simply coming here on the clock event, I am incrementing the count and going up. On clock event again, when I will again come here, enter it on clock event, and I will go on counting up. When the count becomes 0 to 49,9, this 5 million. So, after 5 million counts, I will make the count to be 0. Is it okay with all of you? Here the count will be again made 0, and pulse which was 0 will not now be made, will be toggled, not of pulse. That means, I am getting a 1 at the output. Okay. And this is the process of counter. The counter process is counting up to 5 million clocks, then it is sending the pulse and resetting the count to 0. And at that time it is coming out of this, and then that pulse is being sent to LED. Now, this LED, where is this LED declared? LED has been declared as a port in the entity description, right, because this clock has also been described in the entity description, that is the port. So, this LED goes there, the pulse goes to the LED, and that is the end of my behavior. all right. So, this is how I write a very simple VHDL code. Now, once I write this VHDL code, what am I supposed to do? After I write this VHDL code, I will be simply putting that. So, I have got, there are tools, say for example, I am using Xilinx, and Xilinx has got a particular variant of Xilinx maybe, and for every variant on just for Xilinx there can be different boards, right. So, all those boards will have Xilinx here, but the other peripherals may differ. Some other board, say the Mercury board if you take, it will also have the same Xilinx, but maybe the other peripherals will be there. So, depending on what peripherals I have, I will all have to instantiate the Xilinx programming tool. So, that Xilinx programming tool will have some separate tutorials on this, tutorial lectures on this, and there are, say, one environment is the ISE, using which is, in the last class we are saying that we compile it for this particular FPGA kit that I am using, and this VHDL code will be converted to the bit file. So, I have got the VHDL or the Verilog description, and that bit file is loaded into this. There are, each of them have got the USB port or JTAG port, using which I can upload this program over here, and this becomes on, right. So, that is the step we carry out. We first write it in some high level language, high level means synthesizable high level language, which is VHDL. Verilog is also used. So, using that I compile it, I describe the behavior and then put it in. Now, after I put this, whatever I have done now is something like this, that here is my FPGA board, and I have got my Xilinx here, and after I loaded it, I got a blink LED has been loaded here. Now, this blink LED has got a clock and an output here, and I have got the LEDs actually connected here. Sorry, LEDs, right. So, it will be like this, all right, and the clock is coming here. Clock is a 50 megahertz clock. My program has populated this part. Now, it is my task to establish the interconnection between this point. This one does not know that this particular input will have to be connected to this, or whatever output that the pulse is giving will come here. That LED in my program was nothing but a port to what? Port to the blink LED entity. This LED is a port, and port to the blink LED entity. Therefore, this LED is this point, because but I have to establish the correspondence between this point and this point. Okay. For that, in order to do that, we need to have, I was telling in the other earlier class, user constraint file. Okay. Now, this user constraint file allows the the tool that I was using, will allow me, give me an interface by which I can specify, okay, using a Dropbox and all those, specify the different interconnections. Now, once I specify that, what I am actually doing is I am establishing a correspondence between the schematic. What is a schematic? This will be a little clumsy maybe, because say a typical schematic is shown here, where you can see this FPGA. Among this, there are different components and nothing is readable to you now. Here are the boards. So, I need to amplify, but if you are careful, you can see some LEDs here, right. Now, these LEDs are connected. Now, if I amplify this, then I can show a particular part. How much visible is that? It is better that here you see I have got the LED 1, 0, 1, 2, okay, different LEDs are there. There are, and here if you concentrate, you can see here, this is the interconnect point where this is the LED 0. If I am triggering LED 0, then in that UCF file, I have to establish a correspondence, because this LED 0 is connected to this line. So, I have to establish the output of my Xilinx to this, whatever the number is, this one. That I can do just simply selecting on that. Okay. That is why hands on is very much useful, but once I do this, then my interconnections are established. So, what I have now is not only the blink LED entity, but along with that I have established the connection to these ports. Okay. I have established the connection to these ports, and I can. So, with this we conclude our first phase of discussion on FPGAs. This will be followed later by a couple of tutorial lectures on FPGA programming, where a particular tool will be followed, and but it is not mandatory that you will always get that tool handy with you. So, accordingly, whenever you are given the responsibility of developing something on an FPGA, you will have to adapt to that particular tool, and you have to understand that. Okay? Thank you.